Hello and welcome to part one of the VLMS pre-season podcast with myself, Neil Heatley, and the man who runs the show here in the VLMS, the Virtual Le Mans series, Bernd Schmidt.
Hello, and thanks for having me with me.
Excellent. So just, I suppose the first point of order really should be the few rule changes that we've had this year. If Bernd, you just want to explain some of them.
Well, I guess the most important rule change we have in the series is the new version of the points. So, if you could remember last season, we have points from P1 to P15. This season, we will follow the point system of the Formula 1, which will give you points from P1 to P10 in each class. And it's then 25, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the new point rule. And I guess this will be the most important for every team because last season when you have had a little incident and you finished on P14, you got 2 points. If this will happen this season to you and you finish on P14, you won't get any points. So it's much more important this season to come into the top 10 at the end of a race.
I suppose that's sort of like promoting the more endurance side, just being consistent and trying to keep your car out of trouble over the course of a race.
Yeah, for sure. So everyone should know, see, it's really important. We are here for endurance, so stay safe. Also, have a good pace that you can make it into the top 10, because the field is a bit strength at all. So, yeah, let's see how does this will work out. Also, because the rules changed in the terms of a length of a race, we have only 4-hour races in this season. Last season we was having 2 exceptions with Sebring and Le Mans, but this season every race will have 4 hours.
Also, last season, the VLMS schedule was almost a schedule of its own. We went to a lot of the only 2 dates that we shared with the VEC, if you will, were Sebring and Le Mans. Last season we had Road Atlanta, we had Montreal, we had Imola just coming to mind. What was the idea between making the schedules between the 2 series the same, essentially?
So they have to say, I was thinking of complete a different schedule like last season, but we want to use DirectX 11 for the upcoming season, also for the broadcast. And well, there we said, okay, the tracks from VC are completely fine for the X11, so let's choose exactly the same for VLMS, that we can make sure the X11 will be working fine also in our VLMS season, which brings the better quality into the stream, and which allows us maybe some new features then.
Also, something which has broken up the current championship, the current defending champions, the one ACO P2 car, is the rule that you can only have one VEC Division 1 driver in each car. I suppose that was to help almost nurture new talent in the series and bring more new drivers in.
Exactly. Last season, I wouldn't say it was a problem, but you've seen every team which was from the VC with all his top drivers in it, they have made the races, they have run the races, they have set the pace in qualifying and stuff like this. And we were thinking of, okay, VLMS is a feeder series, so let's get do this. And let's only allow 1 drivers from the Division 1 cars. But if you're in Division 2, you can pull in your complete team also in the VLMS. But then you have to remind, okay, it's 4 hours of racing, so normally you don't need more drivers than 2. If you put the complete VEC team from Division 2 or 3 in with 5 drivers, well, that could mean then you will only train for the race in VEC and don't go too much on the results in the VLMS. So let's see how this will work out. Also, I keep my fingers crossed for the newcomers, because that's why we have the VLMS at all.
Indeed, we'll get onto those newcomers later when we run through the entry list at the moment. But going on to the schedule, it's going to be an exact copy of the VEC schedule with all the races run 1 week before the VEC races, and all races being 4 hours. So the schedule begins on the 30th of September with the 4 hours of Indianapolis, and the 28th of October is the 4 hours of Fuji, the 25th of November, the 4 hours of Istanbul, and rounding out the first half on the 6th of January is the 4 hours of Suzuka. Round 5 begins with the 4 hours of Interlagos on the 3rd of February. On the 3rd of March, 1 month later, it's the 4 hours of Sebring. On the 31st of March is the 4 hours of Silverstone. Then rounding out the season on the 28th of April is the 4 hours of Le Mans. So going around 4 continents during these 8 rounds, it's quite a varied season.
Yeah, definitely. So I like this because I loved it and we see that we're going around the whole world of the schedule. This season we're doing exactly the same in the VMS. As I said, depends on day tracks are ready for DirectX 11. Also, maybe it could be good to bring the same schedule for the newcomers here in the VMS, that they see, okay, this are tracks that will be driven in the VC, so we can get used to it, and we will see if we could go there for a longer time also then in the next season of the VC, and so it could be a better training for them. Also, the opportunity for the VC teams which are in here in the VMS, they could get a bit of more training for the VC races, because they could test their racing setups in a 4-hour race, and then they will see if it's fit for the VC or if they have to work a bit more on. So, yeah, it's a bit of a mix between drivers of the VC, which will get training, which will also get the victory in every race here in VMS, and the newcomers, which will go for the best result they can have, which will test their driving style for endurance, and of course, they wanna beat the VC drivers at the end.
Yes, of course, that is a major advantage, if you like, for having these new drivers, is that they can test themselves against Division 1, Division 2 caliber drivers and see if they can, beat them. So that might give them an idea of really how fast they are. But looking through the series, you really have a wide range of tracks. You've got Suzuka, which is fairly technical in the first couple of sectors. You've got Silverstone, which is a fairly technical track as well. But then you've got sort of like velodromes of speed, if you will. Fuji with that massive front straight. Indianapolis using turn 4 of the oval this time round, using a different layout from what the VEC used last season, and of course Le Mans, the fastest track of all. So a nice variation of tracks, but also obviously to get into the VLMS you need to pass our SRCA, the academy that we have here, and some of the tracks used in this schedule have been used in the SRCA over the past few seasons.
Yeah, mostly of them were Sebring. That was used a lot in the SOCA, so maybe the people have to experience how it feels like to drive a car around Sebring, but then we have to say the SOCA is using the version of the Nissan GT4 or the Camaro, so complete different cars compared to that what we are using here in VLMS, and also SOCR has only one class. Here in VLMS we have the two classes, the LMP2 and the GTs, so complete new experience maybe for some of the drivers here. And as you said, with these different tracks we have here, especially Fuji or Suzuka. Fuji, high speed Suzuka, where it comes down to the setup of the car, if you are fast or not fast. So I guess that makes a huge difference in the schedule, and that's the point where the races get so much excited for everyone here in the VMS. For us here, especially for you in the commentator booth, for me as a race director, and also for the drivers and the viewers on the stream.
Indeed, and just looking through, I'm not sure what round I'm looking forward to most this season. Interlagos in February. Interlagos always brings that threat of rain. We saw it last season in the VEC. We saw what carnage it could almost bring in season 1 of the VLMS at Road Atlanta. So the 4 hours of Interlagos may be a very interesting race to watch. Fuji with that massive front straight. It's going to be fun watching all the slipstreaming down there. The same for Indianapolis. But I'm really not sure what race I'm looking forward to. It may well be Istanbul or Le Mans. Which one are you looking forward to at the moment, at least?
Well, at the moment, I'm really excited for Fuji because it's the first time we have it in VLMS. It's the second time as we have it in the VC, so that could be a really exciting race at all. Then for sure Le Mans, cause it's the most important race for everyone. Because in Le Mans it will decide the championship. It has this historic feeling there on the track when you drive down the Inudier Straits or when you come through the Porsche curve. So that will be definitely a really great race. And for me, cause I love this track, it's Istanbul. So you have this four-time left-hander, which will be murdered for the tires. You have long straights, you have fast corners, you have slow corners, you have everything which is needed for good overtakes, for good endurance racing, and for good multi-class racing. So that's the specialist one for me in this schedule this year.
Yeah, all of these tracks have their own little characteristics, if you will, their own little specialities. As you said, Istanbul with that quadruple apex almost turn 8. Sebring, the bumpiness of it, and just the bumpiness of it, very difficult to get a car set up there. Interlagos, the two massively opposing parts of Interlagos, the third and the first sector being almost flat out, and then that very technical middle sector. Silverstone just being a classic track, the same with Suzuka. Fuji used to be the massive velodrome of speed. Now with that very interesting, very difficult final sector, one that I'm sure that nobody in the history of racing has ever got right, that final sector.
And that's what it makes so interesting then, because the teams have to know how to set up the car. Will they set up it then for speed, or will they set up then for a bit more downforce to get the last sector done in quite a good way?
Yeah, that last sector is full of ever decreasing radius corners and blind apexes, and I always have trouble. I always have trouble doing that final sector of Fuji, and I'm sure the vast majority of people here at the VLMS will.
Yeah, and then that's the point there, because you have the experienced drivers from the VC, like the last year champions from Ron Echo, also this experienced driver from Simtech. Then you have the experienced VC teams, which set up their cars with complete new drivers into endurance, and you have the complete new teams, which doing the first steps here in the VMS. And there it will be interesting to see who could do this at its best. So who can find the best mix in the setup? Do you see the newbies will have their experience from some sprint races, and they can bring their experience in there, and that makes them maybe faster than the experienced endurance racers? Or is it the VC drivers with their experience they can bring into, and they know, okay, we need a setup which will go through the 4 hours without any problems, and we have the speed of the downforce which is needed. So let's see how this will work out at the end of the season.
Indeed, you talking about those new teams, those new drivers. Let's have a look at the entry list for this season. We've got only two classes, as you said here in the VLMS. We've got LMP2 and we've got GTs. The LMP2 is being a spec class, if you will. They've got all the same chassis, all the same engine. The only thing that separates these cars are the class of driver and that class of setup. So if we just have a look through the entry list, if you will, there's 6 completely new teams here, and one existing team who has put their efforts into P2 as well as GT this year, bearing that number 1 on the side of their LMP2 car is the One Acco car. The number 2 will be Simtech Motorsport. Number 3, the sister car, just named Simtech. Number 5 is a brand new team, Scuderia GT Italia. Although they're not a new team to SRC, they were in VLMS Division, VC Division 1 last season. Number 7, Team RGPL. Number 13, Speedy Mite Racing returning again. The number 15, Ghost Motorsport doing the same. The number 17 car will be a completely new team, IDOS Motorsport. Number 18 will be the second of the Speedy Mite Racing cars. Number 19 is Swedish sim racers the two drivers out of there, Per Okvist and Rickard Norgren, I do believe were racing for Sim HQ last season, but have spread their wings and made their own team. Number 23 will be Handy Racing Team with number 24, their sister team, the Handy Racing Team Green Car. Number 28 will be Witchwood. Number 39 is a completely new team, Team Draco. Number 42 is also a new team, the Reborn Racer D2D car. Number 43 will be Three Wide Motorsport. Number 45 will be a team reaching into P2 for the first time, it's Relish Racing. Number 46 will be the Seawolf Netrace Motorsport car. Number 47, the Texas Scorcher Courses Senior car. Number 48, SimHQ Motorsports. Number 49 will be the last new car out of LMP2. It's RMS ACAS. And then number 50, rounding out the field, is the Gaming Events car. So a lot of new teams there. A lot of teams that have had a lot of driver changes, if you will, and have quite a few new teams. So it's going to be very interesting. One Echo obviously going to be the team to beat, with Borja Milan and Michael Falker driving there. But of course, Simtech is always up at the pointy end as well, as was Speedy Mite several times last season, as was Ghost as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see who is going to be victorious in that P2 class.
Indeed. And I guess the one Echo car, as last year's champions, they have most pressure on it because they will defend their title. But it's a new team mixed up. Borja from the last season, he was driving with Nico Barclay last season. Now this season he has Michael Folker on his side. That will be interesting to see how this will work out. Then we have definitely the Simtech Motorsport car with Standard Sena, Mathieu Surenak. Really a strong lineup for this car. And I'm really interested in what will Three White Motorsport will do. We know them from the VC with Martin Fuhrmann and Henning Wallop, but they has driven a LMP1 car over the last season there. So they decided to go down into the VLMS, choose the LMP2 car, and let's see what happens then during the season. So I would say the hardest opponent for one Echo on Simtech Motorsport could be the Three White Motorsport car. Also, it could be that maybe a complete newcomer team, which doesn't known at the moment, will raise up and will surprise us all at the end of the season.
Yeah, speaking about those new teams, I think the strongest of those new teams, looking at the entry list, it could well be Scuderia GT Italia, but it also could be Swedish sim racers Per Ökvist and Rickard Norgren, coming from SimHQ last season. If memory serves me correctly, they drove a lot in that P2 car. They drove a lot of the races, they drove a lot of the time. So I think that might be fairly interesting to see how those two fare on their own.
Yeah, definitely. So Scuderia GT Italia with Danilo Pizzo, he's a really, really experienced driver. We know him also from the VC. Last season we have seen Roberto De Felippes and Franco Scarlett. They have been a part of the VMS last season, but in another team, so they joined Scuderia GT Italia for this season. Then the Swedish sim racers Per Okrist, Rickard Norgren, well-known drivers from the VC, from the VMS. Every time they have chosen the LMP2 car, so I would say they are maybe the most experienced drivers in an LMP2 car. So let's see how this will work out. Then we have the Team Draco with Nick Newcomb, Thomas Schlitti and Oliver Fortin. We know Oliver from the VC, from Atlantic Motorsport. He's a really fast driver in a GT car. Let's see how fast he could be in an LMP2 car there. Also Nick Newcomb, a well-known name in VC and VLMS. So I guess he will also be one of the drivers with a good pace here in the field. And then don't forget the Eidos Motorsport car. They're completely new. We know Thomas Sens. He has a good pace. Last season he struggled a bit with Zamcode 80, so let's see if he have fixed this problem. Then David Yunt, we definitely know him from VC, from VLMS, as a good and well-known driver. He has a good pace, he has a good track behavior, so that could be a big point for them. And the new driver Mark Fight. Let's see how he will play in this team. So I've seen him in the VC pre-season race and an LMP1 car, and there he was a bit off, but maybe he will be more on pace here in the LMP2 feed. Let's see how this will pay out at the end.
Indeed, it is going to be an absolutely fascinating season for that LMP2. Now, moving on to the GTs, we have 19 GTs this season with 5 makes between them. We've got 5 Ferraris, 5 Ferrari F458s, I should say, 5 Aston Martin Vantages, 7 Corvette C7Rs, a singular Porsche 991, and a singular Viper. That's an SRT Viper that we've got there. So just looking through, we have 8 completely new teams out of these 19 GTs, and 1 team foraying into GT for the first time. The number 54 is the realish racing car in a Ferrari. Then it comes Monaco trying for both championships this season. That may well play out as they have Nico Barclay and Arwin Taruna in that car. Those are going to be a really strong pairing. That's one of the Aston Martins. Number 58 is the Texas Scorcher Corsa car in that singular Porsche. Number 61 is a new team, Troyan Donut Automotive in a Corvette. Number 63 is SimTech Team Netherlands. Again, they're trying to go for both championships, or the SimTech team in a Corvette. Number 64 is Atlantic Motorsport returning, this time in an Aston Martin Vantage. Number 66 is another new team, Green Flashes from Germany, with Felix Heinen and Markus Frauhoff at the wheel of that car. Number 70 is the RSA Patea SimSports car in a Corvette. Number 73 is the Mello Motorsport car in a Ferrari F458. They had horrific luck that last season. They just could not get a break at all. Were kept on involved in accidents of their no doing, just being the complete innocent bystander. Almost every single race it seemed like. So hopefully they can bring out their true potential this season. Number 76 is the Witchwood car in the Corvette. Number 77 is the first of 2 ROTW racing team cars. They're doing a 2-car effort in the GT class this time round. Number 83 is the Black Hawk racing car, Ferrari F458. Number 87 is a brand new team, the Scuderia Leon car in a Corvette. Number 88 is Ragin Racing, yet another new one in a Corvette as well. And the number 90 is Spain Racing Factor in a Ferrari F458. Number 92 is the core team returning in a Corvette. Number 96 is the second of the ROTW racing team cars. The number 97 is Bulldog Racing. They're not a new team. They have had a renaming, if you will. They were Slide Right from last season, with George Angelidis and Chris Graham at the wheel of that Aston Martin Vantage. And finally, the number 99 Revolution Sim Racing car. They are in that Viper. So a lot of new teams there, but a lot of names that we've recognised. It's going to be very difficult for the GT class as well, because of course it is balance of performance, but every car has its own strength. So it's going to be very difficult there. Again, the Monaco car with the other half of the reigning champions in P2, Nico Barclay in that car. SimTech is always going to be fast. Melon Motorsports is probably going to be fast as well. Scuderia Leon with Kevin Roting, Ruben Correa Alves and Hani Al Sabti in that car. That could be lightning quick if they all three of them come together. So it's going to be very interesting in the GT class as well.
Yeah, and I would say the GT class could be the more intense class this season, because we have lots of new teams, lots of new drivers in here. We have teams which are coming back, like Scuderia Leone. We know that from VC season 8 it was pretty fast. We know this battles between Hania Sapti and Niki Chakovic in the VC back in the GT class. So let's see what they can do. Also, one echo with Nico Barclay behind the wheel. We know Nico Barclay from the GT car, also from season 8. He was doing pretty good in the past. So let's see what he can do now here in VLMS with this Aston Martin. Then we have the complete new teams, as you mentioned, with Troy and Donald Automotive or the Green Flashes. Especially, let's see how they can bring their effort here in the VLMS, and if they could fight against these well-known teams like Scuderia Leone or One Echo. Then also the SimTech cars, which are really intense. So we know Sherman van der Sloot and Alexander van der Woede, so well known from the VC over the past seasons. Then the RSA Protea Sim Sports car, completely new lineup. Let's see how this will work. And of course, my fingers are for the Mellow Motorsports car. As you have told, they was having so much tough luck last season. They was hitting out nearly in every race by an LMP2 car. Let's see what they can do. This time with the Ferrari. Last season it was the only Viper in the field, so let's see how they can do it. And then also we have this known teams like the core team or the ROTW racing team, also well-known drivers, but we know they could may lack of speed there. So it was in the last season. Maybe they have gone the turnaround and now they were fixed into the top fives at the end of some races. So let's see what we can expect here from this GT class.
Yeah, just looking through all of these drivers again, I am right in saying that we've got a couple of world fastest gamer drivers in here, aren't we? Wasn't Nico Barkley, I think, was in world fastest gamer, as was Haniel Sabti, if memory serves me correctly. So we have a couple of absolutely fantastic drivers in this GT class, and it's going to be extremely contested, as you said. And just looking through, it's going to be very hard to pick a winner at this point of in this pre-season. It's going to be very difficult to pick a winner from that entire class. Literally, 10 or 12 of these cars have a realistic shot at winning that championship.
Yeah, indeed. So definitely, I won't put my money right there at any team because there are so many teams who can get it at the end of a season. So I won't also put money on any team for winning a race because we have 8 rounds of racing. So and I see more than 8 teams with a chance of a race victory. And this makes it so hard, and that makes it also so interesting how this will play out over the whole season. Which teams will we see in the front, or also maybe a surprise team? Maybe we see a team we know from the last season they wasn't that good, and now this season they will be that fucking fast. So you don't know that right there in front. So it's easier to speak about this in the LMP2 class than it is here in the GT class.
Indeed, and just having a look at these grids, these two fantastic grids. Bernd, which car from the LMP2 do you think is going to win the championship this season?
This is a really, really hard question. So definitely one Echo has this bit of an opportunity winning the championship last season. But we have also SimTech Motorsport. We have the 3-road motorsport car. They will do really, really well, I guess, in this season. So yeah, was this opportunity by winning the championship last season. I would put a bit of my money on one Echo, but they are followed close by 3-road and SimTech. What are your mining? So which team would you put your money on?
It's going to be very difficult, but I must say at the moment I have to agree with you. I think One Aqua are going to become two-time champions in the P2 class because that pairing looks extremely fast. But you've always got to have a look at SimTech. You've always got to have a look as at perhaps Scuderia GT Italia as well. But just looking for perhaps a slight outsider. I'm not sure that Swedish Sim Racers car, the number 19, could spring a couple of surprises this season.
I'm interested in how this will pay out, but we will see it when it comes to the first showdown at the 30th of September in Indianapolis. And for sure, we will see the overall winner then at the 28th of April next year when we come to the last round at Le Mans. And then we will see if our cars we have here provided a bit are these cars or are these teams which will stand on the top of the championship, or maybe they will stand only in the midfield.
Indeed, and also looking at the GT class, those 19 cars, as you said, there's definitely more than 8 cars capable of winning this class here at the VLMS. It's going to be very difficult to actually pick out a winner at this moment in time. Mellow Motorsporters could well be there, as could the One Echo, as could Scuderia Leon, as could Raging Racing, as could either of the ROTW racing team cars. It's going to be extremely difficult to pick a winner from all of those. But at the moment, I think you might be looking at that, perhaps at that Raging Racing car as being a little bit of an outside bet for this GT championship.
Yeah, indeed. And well, if I had to put my money on any team like I've done now in the LMP2 class, well, it's again One Echo because I know Nico Barkley, he's damn fast with a GT car. So that could be one team I put my money on. The other teams, it's hard to. I would also put my money on Mellow Motorsport because they have proven they have the speed when they don't have this tough luck at all. Then we have the Scuderia Leon car, just extreme driver lineup here with Rotting and Alsapti. I know both of them are really fast, and I guess this will be the hardest opponents for the One Echo team. And then, well, maybe a newcomer team like the Green Flashes. I know these drivers, they are pretty fast, they can do it also. And let's see how some new drivers like on the Blackhawk Racing car were proven during the championship, and maybe we will see also them on top of the field in the top five or something like that in the end of the season. So what are your minds about the GT cars? Which one will you put your money on?
Indeed, there is that real threat of One Aqua sweeping both championships. That One Aqua car, I think, will be up there contesting for wins every single race. The same with Scuderia Leone. The same with perhaps Mellow Motorsports. But again, you can't really. Simtech are always fast no matter what they drive in. Green Flashes as well could spring a couple of surprises. The same as ROTWs. The ROTW cars, Tommaso Tortella and Lorenzo Tortella in the number 77, and Ivan Gradello and Sando Donadel and Alessio Ricci in the number 96. All those drivers well known here within the SRC, but I do think that the One Acco car and the Scuderia Leone car will be battling out for honours in the GT class.
Yeah, and all of them also we will see in the first round then, 30th of September at Indianapolis. And who will be the champion? We will see next year when it comes down to the last round of the championship with this epic 4 hours of Le Mans then. So I guess we have a good mix-up in both classes. We have a great schedule. And well, I'm really excited to watch the races and have a look on all what happens during the season.
Indeed, it is going to be a fantastic season. 8 rounds, 32 hours worth of racing. It's going to be There's going to be turns and twists from start to finish, from minute one to the last minute. So join us on the at Indianapolis on the 30th of September, and hopefully you will have as much fun watching as I will commentating. Thank you for joining us for part one of this preview podcast.